Greetings, all you samurai out there in the land of Wano. I'm Duuz-Diz-Din, and I'm coming at you with another episode review of One Piece. This is chapter 954, titled Like a Dragon Growing Wings. A bit of an idiom in terms of a dragon ascending to greater power and new heights, very much integral to this overall story, as certain factions within this story are starting to gain more traction and more power in ways that you would never imagine. First, first off is a detour into Ringo, where Hiyori has mentioned that she would choose to give her father's sword, Enma, to Zoro in exchange for leaving Shusui at the tomb of Ryuma as a national treasure, much to the dismay of Kawamatsu, who feels that some vagabond off the street should not be given something so precious to her, such a great family heirloom. It is of the utmost disrespect. But Oden, being of the two-sword style, had two specific swords, Enma and Ame no Habakiri, which is a bit of a alteration to the mythical sword that was used by Susanoo to kill the Yamato no Orochi. You know, that it's a tale as old as time. If you're into any form of anime, you already know about the story of Susanoo Orochi and the sword that he used in order to bring Orochi low. So it really does set up a good question. Which sword will Zoro end up using? And would Zoro actually end up using both of these swords? The Enma and the Ame no Habakiri? And depending on which sword he actually ends up bringing into his grasp, because I could see him getting both. Then the question is raised, will he take Enma, the sword that is said to have been able to injure Kaido, which is a massive feat in and of itself. Kaido, whose body seems to be completely impervious to any form of damage, or will he take the Ame no Habakiri, the weapon which is used to slay the Orochi? It just really sets itself up, and it makes me wonder, was the whole storyline, well, plot point, if you will, of Luffy taking that sword from Old Man Kitetsu. Was it Kitetsu? Hitetsu, there we go, Hitetsu. Old Man Hitetsu. Was that kind of like a justification for Luffy eventually taking one of these swords, possibly Habe no Keikiri? Although I see him more going for Enma to take down Kaido. It really does raise a lot of questions. Not to mention he's already learning skills in order to take down Kaido and pierce his skin. So it really does make you wonder. But, Kawamatsu is completely against this. He's a vagabond, he's a nobody, he could not wield Lord Oden's sword, but, I feel like should Kawamatsu see Zoro in actual combat, his tune might change, if only just a little bit. And Hiyori says, look, I don't know why the Shusui ended up in your hands. And that doesn't matter to me. It's a relic of the people. It should belong to the country. And she's showing a good amount of diplomacy here. She's not trying to take it away from Zoro, but she's offering something up in return. She knows that ultimately, Shusui has more meaning than Enma. It'll be a shame to lose her father's sword, but it would also be a shame to lose out on this national treasure that many people associate with the downfall of Wano. So, a little bit of give and take. Ultimately, I could even see a lot of people believe that Zoro wouldn't care about that kind of stuff, but I feel that Zoro might quite frankly have more respect in that. And he might end up leaving both Enma and Amino Habakiri behind, as well as Shusui, and he might just end up getting a few other swords in the process. Even possibly taking Hitetsu's sword that Luffy stole in replace of any of these, and he still manages to get out with a third sword. It's a possibility. I could easily see that. I really could. But, while Zoro does for the most part accept it, he does explain that he got the sword from the dead Ryuma that he fought, and he's just like, okay, I'll give it back to the grave at once. And hearing that, Kawamatsu freaks out, because it's just like, what did you just say? Okay, this guy is completely insane. Now we cut to another situation. Namely, in the location of the Flower Capital, where we see that all the prisoners are still caught, because Orochi's not letting them go anytime soon, because he doesn't want to admit that he was possibly wrong about the whole Crescent Moon tattoo situation. But the real crux of this is seeing that somehow Law escaped from his jail cell and was able to incapacitate Hawkins. Man, I'm so disappointed that happened off screen. I would have loved to see that battle. Like, really, that would have been so cool. But Law has Hawkins completely at his mercy. And he starts to kind of question him. What happened to your alliance that you were forming with Apu and Kid? What happened? Hawkins states, because ultimately it's not like he's going anywhere being cut in half, although not like murderously, just through Law's abilities. He says, we were tricked. Scratchman Apu was actually already in Kaido's pockets. And once Kaido descended from on high, basically, he came down with a proclamation. Join me, and I will welcome you with open arms. Because Kaido is always on the lookout for strong subordinates. That's why he wanted to get Luffy converted to his ranks. But, he wants to create the strongest army ever to bring the world to ruin, for the most part. Hawkins kind of noticed that he read the cards, and he thought that his possibility of a chance of victory was 0. Escape, 0. Surviving if you submit, 40%. See, a lot of people are calling out Hawkins like, oh, he's a wuss, he's a coward, he's a weakling. No. Hawkins is pragmatic. He looks at the odds and he decides what he'll do from there on out. I can't blame him for that. That's his characteristic. Like, of course that's what he went with. And considering what happened to Kid and Killer and their whole crew, yeah, it kind of looks like the stronger option from there on out. Ultimately, Kid ended up being captured. They went at it with Kaido, fought him until they couldn't move anymore. So just that created a whole situation for them. And ultimately, they were imprisoned so that he could break their spirits and force them under his boot heel. And because, Kid would just continue to just lash out, they imprisoned him, and his crew members ended up just doing as they were told in order to make sure Kid stayed safe. So, Kaido basically got what he wanted either way. So it was pointless to even fight him for the most part. And so that's just how it went. Orochi and Kaido just bringing everyone under their heel no matter what. He calls them the Hawkins says that the Yonko are completely separate creatures from anyone like us. They are on a completely different level. Logic doesn't even apply to them, which, yeah, no kidding, honestly. But, Hawkins starts to kind of call out Law's alliance with the Straw Hats and questions them. It's just like, oh, your alliance with the Straw Hats seems to be going pretty good, and you seem to be getting through Wano without any major problems. So are you having a bit of a change of heart? Which really begs the question, is Law possibly going to betray the Straw Hats? I can't see that. I really can't see that. There's something deeper going on, but as he leaves Hawkins behind after what I assume he knocked him out, because I can't really see him killing Hawkins here and now. He speaks with an unknown figure who allowed him to escape and saying that he'll happily join in this person's plans. This has got to be X-Drake. It's got to be X-Drake. Not to mention, it helps that the guy is wearing a full-on boot, and not that many people who are prominent in this story actually wear clothing like that. And the dude's wearing a cape. You can see it. The dude's wearing a cape. It's gotta be X-Drake. It's absolutely gotta be X-Drake. So we're 6 days away from the raid on Onigashima, and the days start whittling away intensely as we cut over to the Udon prisoner mine, where we see that Luffy is training with Old Man Hio to try to be able to use his armament haki in order to penetrate Kaido's defenses, practicing on this giant thick ass plate of steel, and he's punching into it, and all the people are just like, man, he's beating that thing like it's made out of jelly. And Luffy is just wailing on this thing, trying to learn how to penetrate Kaido's defenses, to send out that burst of haki. And then we've cut to 5 days until the raid on Onigashima. Luffy is working his hardest. And then we cut over to Braided Hat Village, where Kinemon is getting in contact with the various allied forces about the new message and all that, the alterations to their meetup place. And he's handed it out to all the various places. We cut to Kiri Itachi Harbor, where the ship repair squad made up of Frankie, as well as Usopp, and several of the Minks are all allied together, and they're, going at it to try to fix up the ships, get them ready for the onset of the battle, but they figure it out there, as well as at the squad to go down and get the Udon weapons. The weapons at Udon, they're taking as many as they can there, but they're also going to be getting the weaponry from Kiri. I think it's Kiri. We also have the the weaponry from Ringo. God, the Ringo Sword Collection squad. Everyone's in there gathering from there. The Kibi Yakuza leaders are just kind of gathering everything up there, and everyone is just kind of figuring things out slowly but surely where they're going to go. And Kinemon goes about explaining it to Nami after she questions it, because anyone not from Wano wouldn't easily be able to figure something like this out. That, they have various different harbors. One in the form of a harbor, that's where they were originally meeting up. The one in the form of a snake, the Viper, Hubu Harbor. But adding 2 lines kind of turns it into a bit of a salamander. And that's, a lizard signifies Togata Harbor in Udon, a place that has been long since abandoned. So they were able to figure it out because of the efforts of Lord Yasue. And it's not something that the Kaido's men would easily figure out, though you do have to question if possibly Orochi's men would be able to figure it out. That's a bit of a risk in and of itself, but everyone pretty much starts meeting up and just talking about how the fact that, Yasue really did come in clutch for all of them. We have the 9 red scabbers, almost all of the 9 red scabbers all together. They're just missing out on Denjiro, and as well as Nekomamushi. They're the only ones who are not currently in Wano, but a lot of the Straw Hats, a lot of the 9 red scabbards are all gathered together rather to talk things out. We also have Hitetsu also in attendance. Robin is still looking after Toko, who still seems to be a little bit rattled from everything that's happened, which I'm not even surprised about. But they've pretty much gotten everything in order for the most part. Everything really seems to be just coming together for the most part. It really seems like everything's just going too easily for them. But then we get a brief aside to learn about the other entrance of Wano, one that is unknown to anyone not accepted by Kaido and the rest. Whereas you can usually the other way to get in is going up the waterfall using the koi. The other way is through a secret entrance within a waterfall, because you have to go upward in order to get to Wano. But there's this entrance underneath Wano through this system of caverns and all that good stuff. And there's a pulley system underneath where you can be brought up all the way up to the surface within a specific land in Wano, namely the Hakumai region, which is very much covered in mist and shrouded in secrecy for the most part. But we actually end up finding that who should be arriving but none other than Scratchman Apu. Apparently, Apu has come back for the banquet going on in Onigashima. He's never one to miss out on a good time. He's Scratchman Apu, the party master of the supernovas. And apparently, this year's going to be pretty damn crazy because a certain number of people are in attendance. Namely, the numbers of Onigashima, as a few little kids who might be orphans kind of point out that these massive monstrous creatures, these Oni-looking creatures, are on their way to have a great time. And when King states to Queen that the numbers have returned, he lets them know that, oh god, I hate drinking with them. They're a bunch of drunkards. They party a little too hard. And speaking of which, we come to find out something even more intimidating. That Kaido and Big Mom have ceased their battle and have come to a bit of a consensus. It's this anniversary, apparently, that they have going on. Possibly the anniversary of when they joined the Rocks Pirates. But they have declared that the 100 Beast Pirates and the Big Mom Pirates are officially in an alliance, and they will cooperate in taking over the world, and afterwards they'll kill each other, which is insane. Like, dude, the numbers look intimidating as all shit. Like, these giant Onis, like Onigashima, we're not really seeing too many Oni aside from Kaido himself. But now you have true Oni on the rise and on the march, which is really intense. But Kaido and Big Mom forming an alliance, that's ridiculous. That's just too much power in these people's hands. And this is the one thing that a lot of the world government just really tries to avoid at every turn, because this is a worst case scenario. That's too much power, and they have to be stopped. They really do. You started to wonder that maybe Luffy and the rest are actually really starting to might be able to pull this off. They might be able to do it. Taking down Kaido, that seems doable with all the equipment and forces and people they've gathered. And I was starting to think that, okay, if you bring in Law, Luffy, and Kid all together, they might just be able to take down Kaido. But throwing Big Mom and her crew into the mix? Dude, that's too much. That's outright too much. It was already hard enough to take on Big Mom before you want to go at her in alliance with Kaido now? That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Simply ridiculous. But it's insanity. It's really looking to be, like Otis said, a bigger event than Marineford. But Hey, tell me your thoughts and theories and feelings in the comment section below. How do you feel about this new alliance? How do you feel about the monstrous numbers? How do you feel about Luffy training his ass off in order to gain more power? Do you think it's going to be enough at this point? And what about Law? Is he teaming up with X-Drake? And what is X-Drake's plan if that is the case? X-Drake specifically came to Wano, at least I think it was Wano, those 2 years ago before the time skip. He's been with Kaido the longest, longer than Scratchman Apu, at least I think so. So it really begs the question, has X-Drake been playing the long game? And will Hawkins be persuaded in joining them as well, should the odds increase in their favor? You know, getting a few supernova underfoot in order to do this job might be their best bet. But again, tell me your thoughts, theories, and feelings in the comment section below. If you liked this video, leave me a like. If you didn't, feel free to leave me a dislike, and tell me what I did wrong in the comment section below so I might better myself for future videos. Subscribe and hit the bell icon, that way you never miss out on another One Piece chapter review. And until next time, just remember, you too can ascend like a dragon growing wings, as long as you have the desire and the want for more. Power, wealth, fame, it can all be yours if you work hard enough and if you work deviously enough. Until next time, I'm Duuz-Diz-Din, and it's high time I went to bed. Bye-bye.